everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to get into all things brushes. I have a lot of brushes and I've been slowly kind of building my natural haired brush collection, but I wanted to also include more affordable brushes in this video because I used affordable brushes for years before I started investing my money into natural hair brushes. So I figured the best way to do this type of video is to break it down on category. What brushes I like for foundation, what brushes I like for contour, what brushes I like for blush and highlight and all of that. Felt like that might be the easiest way. And also I will leave timestamps in the description box down below. So in case you are wanting something very specific, you can just skip ahead to that part and there you go. Now I'm going to break this video up into two videos because it's going to be a really long video. So part one is going to be all about face brushes, and then part two, that will be all about my eye brushes and what brushes I love for detail work, what brushes I like to apply in the crease, both affordable and natural hair. The prices vary from brush to brush. I'm not going to get into the prices per se. I will leave the prices down in the description box down below. But I didn't want to confuse this video based on price. I figured I would just talk about the brushes, and then if a brush, piques your interest, you can head down to the description box and check it out there. I just felt like it might simplify things just a little bit. So let's get started with my favorite foundation brushes. So I would say probably my number one favorite brush right now is this one from Hourglass. This is the Vanish brush. I have been really loving this because it is on a slant and it's kind of small and easy to kind of hold. And the thing that I like about this is I'm able to build coverage really good with this type of brush. Even if I'm using a light or light medium coverage foundation, because of the kabuki style that this has and being on that slant, it just makes it so much easier for me to build coverage. And you can kind of just go in and slowly stipple it into the skin. One of my favorite brushes. The other brush that I have always loved, this has been one of my favorites. I've probably bought 2 or 3 of these brushes now. This is the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection Brush. It is the number 7 and it is a duo brush. So it has, on this side is for the foundation and then this side is for the concealer. Both fabulous. Like one of the best duo brushes out on the market. I love this for concealer. It's small, it gets up in there, it gets the job done, but also having, this on this side with a really good foundation brush. So if you're in the market for a foundation and concealer brush, I don't know, this one is pretty good. I like this brush. It's a good one. Also, this one from REPHR, I think this is the number 23. If I'm wrong, I'll put it down here at the bottom of the screen because this is the prototype, so the number isn't written on it, but I love REPHR brushes. REPHR brushes is probably one of my favorite of the natural haired brushes. Don't get me wrong, I love Sonia G brushes. I love Sonia G brushes, but even though I love the Sonia G brushes, I really love the REPHR brushes. And if you're looking for a natural hair brush experience, like you're wanting to step up your makeup game and get into the natural haired brushes, in my personal opinion, one of the more affordable options is to go with REPHR. They have some of the best deals if you buy the entire set. They also have a lot of prototypes that they're putting out there in the market, and sometimes you can go to their concept store and they will have brushes there for half off. You can pick them up and the only thing they're asking in return is for you to give your opinion and experience using the brush. So that's always a nice way to kind of start building your natural haired brushes, but keeping it affordable at the same time. REPHR is an amazing company. The owners are amazing. And last year I had the honor of actually meeting one of the owners. He flew to Utah just to meet me, which was really, really cool. Really great company. Anybody that I have referred to them to buy brushes, they go over and beyond to help with their customer service. So I cannot recommend the brand REPHR enough. They're just fabulous. So of course, this one is also one of my favorites. I actually used it today. That's why it's all dirty. Now, the one that I like from Sonia G is this one. This is the base one. A lot of my friends love this brush. I like this brush, but I don't love it only because this is a brush that you have to keep clean. And I am really bad at keeping my brushes clean, you guys. Yes, I clean my sponges every time I use them, but my brushes, not so much. The more that you use this and don't clean it in between the uses, it doesn't give you the same finish. So this is one of those beautiful natural hair brushes. If you are someone that's in the habit of cleaning your brushes after every use, you will love the way this applies foundation. It's beautiful. As this brush gets dirty, my foundation looks it doesn't go on very good. It kind of just looks kind of clumpy and really streaky. This brush will streak me bad if it's a dirty brush. So keep that in mind. More affordable option is the Sigma Flat Kabuki brush. This is the F80. This is a great brush from Sigma. This one is kind of similar to the Vanish. It's just, you know, flat kabuki, and this has got the angle on it. But this, you can get really good coverage. It's been a ride or die for so many people, and it's a great brush. Like, you cannot go wrong if you're on a budget and you're looking for a really, really good foundation brush. I like this one. I also like this one from e.l.f. And this is this small stippling brush. So the only negative with this that I found is that it's smaller. Because it's smaller, it takes you a little bit longer to apply. But oh my gosh, this applies foundation beautifully as well. If you have the patience to work with something this small, it's kind of got those stippling type of bristles on it. It's fabulous. Now, the other thing that I like to use this with is to apply liquid blush. So this brush applies anything liquid as far as like your blush, your bronzer, anything. It just applies it beautifully. So if you're on a budget, this one from e.l.f. is really good. Okay, so let's move on to concealer. So I have a few concealer options. I don't really have a really affordable concealer option, only but one. So these are my like go-to concealer brushes. This one from Hourglass. This is again new one. They just launched it with their Hourglass concealer. Great brush. My only complaint is this brush is just a little bit too big, but it's still a great brush. Because of the way that it's shaped, you can, you know, kind of tip it and tweak it to fit in those hard to reach areas. It's one of my favorites. I pretty much use it every day. I love how it, you know, stipples the product in, blends it out, makes it look flawless. It's a great brush. The other one that I really love is this one from Bobbi Brown. This is the Full Coverage Touch-Up Brush. I think I heard about this one from Mel Thompson, if I'm not mistaken, and I grabbed it. It's great. It is a full coverage brush, and it applies concealer beautifully. If you're somebody that likes to build coverage with your concealer, especially like right here in this area, this is a great brush. My other favorite, more affordable option is this one from Sigma. This is the P87 Edge Precision Brush. Oh my gosh, this brush is amazing. Look at the way this brush is angled. It is fabulous. And as you're blending it out, you have such precision. One of my favorite things to do with this brush is, let's just say that I want to clean up my lip line. You know how sometimes you can overline and it can kind of look gross? I will go over like just like this and just get that precise line. Oh, you guys, even if you are not in the market to buy a new brush, this is a great brush. You guys, this is a good brush. I feel like everybody needs this brush. Like, out of all the brushes that I have, this is one that everybody needs, because you will be surprised how many times this precision brush comes in handy. Even, for example, if you're wanting to clean up the edges of your eyeshadow, you just go like this. Because of the way this is shaped, it just gives you such a precise line. It's fabulous. One of the best brushes. Now, I have used this one from Sonia G. This is the Worker 2. Because it's the undyed goat hair, this you can use with cream or powder products. Any of her white bristles you can use for cream or powder. These ones, like this is the dyed goat hair. This one is for powder only. She doesn't recommend using the dyed goat hair for any type of cream products. But so this one is great too, to go up in there and kind of stipple out your concealer and blend it out. And because of the natural hairs, it just kind of moves that product beautifully. So these are the 4 that I would recommend for concealer. Let's move on to like contour slash bronzer. So I have several brushes here. And my number 1 favorite contour brush is this one from REPHR. This is the number 17. This I can go in and like stipple the product right here, and I can feel where my cheekbone is, and I can get a really precise application with my cream contour, even powder contour. This is a great brush. I think I would probably prefer this one, would probably be best with a cream, but either way, it's a great brush. Some people use this for foundation. I've seen them use it for foundation. I've seen them use it for, you know, a cream blush application. This brush is very unique in the way that it's shaped. My personal favorite way to use this is cream contour. It just applies it like a dream. Now, the other brush that I used to use before is this one from Morphe. Now, this one is the G series. So this one is been discontinued, but I found one on the website that looks exactly like it. It is the Morphe M459 brush. It retails for $14. This is a great brush. You can go in with your powder contour or even your cream contour and really sharpen that line and kind of give you that definition that you're looking for. You can get a nice good line right around your nose. There's a lot of options when it comes to this brush, but really good for an affordable option for any of you that like a cream contour or even a powder contour. You could apply it with this to get that precision and then maybe blend it out with like a powder brush or something if you're using a powder contour, but this is a great brush. My next favorite brush is this one from REPHR. Now, this is again the prototype, but this is the bronzer brush from REPHR, and I am absolutely obsessed with this brush. This is probably my favorite brush that I've ever owned. If you guys remember when REPHR sent me all these brushes, the first brush I used was this one, and I was obsessed. I was like, oh, I could not believe how beautifully this applies my bronzer. If you buy their entire set, they will actually give you this for free, which is really cool. But it's a great brush. Great, great, great brush. A more affordable brush option that I really, really love is this one from the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill collection. This is the JH02. So as you can see, they look similar, but the one from REPHR is much wider and shorter. It is something special. Now, you could use both of these brushes for powder or bronzer. I prefer using them for bronzer. I used this one for bronzer for a really, really long time until I got this one. So both, both work great. I think obviously I prefer the natural hair. I think the natural hair just applies it a little bit more of a softer, a little bit less choppy. Sometimes when you're using a synthetic brush, sometimes you can run the risk of it getting a little bit choppy, especially when it comes to a bronzer brush. But I personally think that bronzer brushes are really important. And I have just never found a bronzer brush that I liked. I had been on the hunt for a really long time trying to find my favorite bronzer brush. This worked good, don't get me wrong, but I was trying to find that brush. And then this brush came into my life from REPHR, and it's fabulous, you guys. Now, another great bronzer brush from REPHR is the number 5. So I actually like to use this for cream bronzer. I think it blends cream bronzer like a dream, and it really picks it up, and you're able to get a really precise application. So let's just say that you don't really like having all of this big fluffiness to apply your bronzer. Some people like to be a little bit more direct when applying their bronzer, which is totally fine. Then a brush like this it comes in handy because you can kind of just sweep it across the face without it getting kind of choppy or anything like that. This works great for cream, powder, whatever, but those are my favorite bronzer and contour products. Let's move on to blush. Blush, these are my favorite brushes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my number 1 favorite brush is this one. You guys see me use it all the time. It's the REPHR brush. Here's my thing. I love the traditional shape of a blush brush where it has the angle and you can kind of go in and apply it exactly where you want it, and it has the angle and it hugs the cheekbone to a perfection. That is my preferred way to apply blush. Before I got into natural hair brushes, I used this one from Morphe. You guys, one of the best, blush brushes out on the market in the affordable category. So this one is the E4. The way that it splays, it's got such a great bend to it. See how it splays like that? It's just a great, great, great affordable brush. So if you've been looking for a really good affordable blush brush, this one from Morphe is bomb. Okay, the other two that I love that is from Sonia G is the Inoshish Pro. Before I got this one from REPHR, I had been using the Inoshish Pro, and this is a great brush as well. I still prefer the traditional blush brush. I just do. For me, it just works. Maybe you're wanting to buy the Sonia G Pro set, you will love this brush. It's really good to apply blush, and it applies it in such a beautiful way. You can also use this for bronzer if you want it as well. This could really apply bronzer beautifully. In the Pro set, she also has the Cheek Pro. This is a great brush for blush as well. So if you're wanting something a little bit smaller, you can kind of just go in and lightly, let's just say that you don't like a heavy application with blush. I love a heavy application with blush. I'm kind of a blush nut, but if you're somebody that likes a lighter application with blush, going in with a Cheek Pro like this, just to give you that little teeny bit, just to pop it where you want it, oh, fabulous. These four are definitely my favorite when it comes to applying blush. Okay, so let's move on to powder. You guys know that this is my favorite all over powder brush. This is from Sonia G. This is the Master Face. This is a great, oh my gosh, great brush. This is worth buying on its own. I don't really use a lot from the Sky Face set. I bought the entire Sky Face set, and I only use 2 brushes from the Sky set. I love this brush, you guys. This brush is the best powder brush, in my personal opinion, on the market. If you like to buff your powder in and break up those lines, like seriously a game changer. One of the best brushes from Sonia G. You guys, this is the best powder brush on the market by far, and I have used a lot. When I started getting into powder, it was really hard for me to enjoy powder, okay? Because I'm more dry skin and I don't really like powder. And I fell in love with the Hourglass powder, and I'm like, okay, well, I fell in love with the powder and now I need to find a brush. And I had been kind of playing around with a lot of brushes, and then this fell into my lap and it was like heaven. It's the best brush. It's the best powder brush. If you're looking for a natural haired brush that will apply powder in a beautiful way and not get cakey and gross in certain areas on your face and apply it evenly and beautifully, this is your friend. Another powder brush that's really great too is this one from Sonia G. So this is the Face Pro. So this came in the Face Pro set. The only difference between these two is this one's a little bit denser. So it really gives you the mobility to kind of make those circular buffing motions. This is more to just apply the powder on, you know, where you can get an even application and you can really apply that powder good, but this one is going to buff it. So it depends on how you're applying your powder. If you want to just apply powder just to kind of set your foundation, then this brush works great. If you want more of a buffing brush where you're kind of buffing your makeup together, meaning you're buffing your foundation, your concealer, your bronzer, your contour, your blush, everything buffing it together, then this is the brush that I would grab. Depending on how you're applying your makeup, that's what I would do to kind of decide which brush to buy. Now, the other great powder brush, if you don't want to go that option, this one from Hourglass is really good. This was launched with their powder, and you have the one side, it's a duo again. So here you have a duo brush, and it will do 2 things in one, which is great. So this works really good to apply the powder all over the face. And then this works really good to kind of press the powder in a more direct area right here in the center of your face, right there in that T-zone area where you need a little bit more powder. So this is a really great brush from Hourglass as well. My other favorite Sonia G brush is this one. This also was launched in the Sky set that Sonia released. This is the Mini Cheek. I actually have 2 of them because I love this brush so much. This is the brush that I fell in love with, the Charlotte Tilbury. So I love the Charlotte Tilbury powder. It's my favorite powder, but I just couldn't find that right brush to apply it. I just couldn't find the right blush, the right application. I knew it was a great powder, but every time I would apply it, it would look kind of cakey. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And when I got the Sky Face set from Sonia G, I pulled out this brush, and this brush blew my mind. So this I like to take and go right here in the center of my face. The way that it applies the powder is so soft and airbrush like that it doesn't leave it cakey. It doesn't leave it heavy. It's a great brush. Now all of these brushes that I have just mentioned from Sonia G, these are undyed and dyed goat hair. So they're a mixture between the two. And that is the reason why they are fabulous for any powder. Now, the other brush that I love for the under eye powder is the number 19 from REPHR. So if you bought the entire REPHR set, this is a great brush. Now, you can use this for highlighter. You can, but I prefer to use this when it comes to adding a little bit of powder in that area. So if you bought the entire REPHR set, the number 19 for any type of powder is beautiful. You could also use this for blush, but I prefer to use this with powder. So it does kind of have a little bit of angles to it, as you can see. It's got some of those angles where it kind of comes up and it has a little bit of that wispiness. It can be used with cream or powder. So if you have the REPHR set, I recommend using this for your powder right here in the center of your face. Okay, if you are somebody that likes to set your under eye with baking, like, you know, you take a powder and you place it underneath your eye and you let it set, if you're looking for the perfect brush to wipe all of that away, look no further. This is the Sigma Spotlight Duster. This is the F37. Let's just say that you've taken your powder and you've, you know, applied it and you're letting it sit and you want to wipe it away, pick up this brush. This is one of the best brushes to remove powder. It is so soft. Like, if you look at it, it splays so easily. You can see how easily it splays. Also, what I like to use this brush for is if I get any like fallout from like eyeshadows. So let's just say I've been doing an eyeshadow look and I get a little bit of fallout. I will reach for this brush and I will grab it and go like this. The reason why I like this brush is it's wispy enough to remove and pick up what I need, but it's not dense. So therefore, it's not going to disturb the makeup. One of the best brushes. This one in particular is perfect for the under eye. This is the Morphe M536. It's called the Under Eye Bullet, and it's a great brush for that. If you like to kind of pack powder, this is a great brush. If you like it to be a little bit more wispy and not as heavy, I recommend the Y11. This one is a little bit more of a dense brush. As you can see, it's much thicker, much more dense. This one is way more wispier. So depending on if you're wanting a light application of powder or if you're wanting a more heavier, you know, maybe you have oily skin and you really need a good amount of powder to kind of pack it on and not let it get cakey, but also absorbs your oils throughout the day, I would probably get the M536. If you're wanting a light application, kind of like this mini cheek right here from the Sonia G, you could go in and use this brush from Morphe and apply this powder right where you need it. And it won't get too cakey. Now, of course, I like this brush. It doesn't apply it like my mini cheek. Nothing applies my Charlotte Tilbury powder like the mini cheek, but on a budget, this is a great option. It really is. So if you use any type of pressed powder right there on the center of your face, I would recommend this brush from Morphe. Again, it is the Y11. Okay. Next up, we have the highlighter brush. My number one favorite highlighter brush is this one from Sigma. I use this one every single day. This is the Sigma tapered highlighter, the F35. You see how it's tapered right here? Oh, it's such a good highlighter brush. I have all these natural haired brushes, and this is the one I reach for when I am wanting to apply my highlighter. I just love the way it applies. And it has such a precision to it. I've had it for probably, I don't even know, probably like 3 years. And, you know, Sigma, I have to say this, Sigma was one of the first brands to ever send me a PR package, and I was completely blown away that I received a PR package from Sigma. But two that I really like from Sonia G are these. So this one is from the Pro Face set. This is the Fan Pro. If you like a little bit more precision when applying your highlighter and you want it in an exact area, I would go with a smaller fan brush. because it will give you just that control that you're looking for. But this one is also very, very similar to the Sculpt 3. So as you can see, this is the Sculpt 3 and this is Fan Pro. They're very similar. Now, again, the difference between these two brushes are this is dyed goat hair and this is undyed. So you can apply cream products with this brush, meaning if you have a cream highlighter, so for example, this is my highlighter stick, which is a cream formula. If I'm going to use a cream highlighter, I am going to grab this brush over this. Now this one will apply a beautiful powder highlighter, but I do not recommend using this with cream. It's just not going to apply it in a soft way. If you have a cream highlighter, then I would use, I mean, look at that. It is just so perfect the way that it applies highlighter. If you have a lot of cream highlighters, I would grab the Fan Pro. If you have more powder highlighters, then you could do either or. I would probably prefer to get this because you could use this with powder or cream. This one, I would say only powder. So there you go. But these are both really good. The other highlighter brush that I love is from REPHR. This is the number 18. This doesn't look like much, but dipping it into a highlighter and going over top of the face. And then what I like to do is turn it around and use the other side to blend it out. It's got a nice density to it. I've gotten the best use out of this for highlighter, but again, I'm always constantly reaching for my pointed highlighter brush from Sigma. It's a great brush. So that's it. That is all of the brushes that I have for the face, and I will get into all of my favorite brushes for the eyes in the more affordable range to the high-end range. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I hope that there was some really good options for you when it comes to, you know, high-end brushes and more affordable brushes. I have a lot of high-end brushes. I do, and I've bought a lot of the Sonia G sets. The thing that I will say is I don't always use that entire set that I buy. I have several brushes over here that just hardly ever get used. Of course, when you're building your brush collection, you're always gonna have brushes that you might not use as much or whatever the case is, especially if you're buying sets. But I wanted to break this down and categorize it in a way where, just being honest, this is what I love for powder, and this is what I love for foundation, and this is what I love for concealer. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Again, I will leave everything linked for you in the description box down below. I love you all so, so much, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.